welcome back to Trafficking and Crime Daily. This is a show where I recap live trials and give you updates on other criminal activity, things going on in the criminal world. Today we had the sentencing of Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke. Now, as you might recall, Ruby Franke, she was they call her a mom influencer. She was a YouTube personality, a creator, and she had a very popular channel. I think it was called 8 Passengers. Lots of children. So she actually took her channel down because there were allegations of abuse. She gets with this counselor, Jody Hildebrandt, however you want to pronounce it, and they are arrested about a year ago, a little over a year ago, when one of her children escapes being held in what the prosecution called it, a concentration camp-like setting in the home of Jody Hildebrandt. This child escapes during the night, goes to a neighbor. He's asking for food and water. You can hear the 911 call where the neighbor is saying he showed up here. He's got duct tape on his wrists, on his hands, and yeah, it was horrible. His feet, yeah. So then the police are called, by this neighbor who was very upset on the phone, and they come out and they find his little sister in a very similar condition in this concentration camp-like setting in Jody Hildebrandt's home. So Ruby Franke is arrested, and so is Jody Hildebrandt. Now, supposedly they were business partners in an venture called Connections, where they were giving parenting advice. Jody, and this is key for the sentencing, Jody is a professional therapist, and that gives you just a smidge more responsibility. If you're trained on how to deal with children and you're abusing them. So this was a very interesting sentence. They first bring in Ruby Franke. So the sentences were done separately. There were no victim impact statements. The child that escaped, his name is Kevin, those children are now in foster care, but the father, the husband of Ruby Franke, is trying to get custody again of those children. So through their attorney, they both said they would not be making statements. Neither Kevin nor his father would be making statements. And they're all receiving counseling. So separate sentencing for both of these people. So Ruby comes in, and the deal is that out of the 6 counts that they were each charged with, and they both have the same deal with the prosecutors, in lieu of a trial for a plea of not guilty, they entered guilty pleas on 4 of the 6 counts. Both of them did, in exchange for 1 to 5 years, no, 1 to 15 years on each count. So that was the deal. And restitution to be determined at a later date. The judge entered an order that they have 8 more months to figure out what the restitution is for these children who are receiving counseling. So Ruby gave a lengthy statement. I thought it was lengthy, where she gave like an Academy Award speech. Like, she thanked everyone by name, every police officer, the prosecutors, the judges, the hospital staff. Who else did she thank? Her bishop for putting her on the straight and narrow. And she said, however much time it takes for me to get these, she said she was, how did she put it? Led to believe that the world was an evil place, that everybody's out to get her. The hospital's out to hurt your children. The police are out to put you in jail. Everybody is out to get you. And this was what was ingrained in her by, she says, Jody Hildebrandt. That Jody, she says, was never my business partner. She was providing therapy for my children, and she was going along with it. She said she looked at Jody as her mentor. And she said she was paying Jody to be her mentor. What? What a weird relationship. So she gets done thanking everybody, and she says, you know, however long it takes for me to get this idea that everybody's evil out of my head while I'm in prison is, you know, how long I should be there. And, you know, and she, anyway, dribble. She very remorseful, and a very good speech that she gave. Then we get Hildebrandt coming in. I'm going to tell you what the sentences were, because they both got the same sentence. So Jody Hildebrandt comes in, and Jody is not remorseful. And the judge points out, so, well, you know, they both had these pre-sentencing reports that are done by the parole board. And the pre-sentencing reports are something that the judge reads through, and they talk about pros and cons and mitigation and aggravation and all this stuff. Hildebrandt refused to talk to her, refused to give a statement. And he says, any reason why your client didn't give a statement? And he says, well, I felt like if she gave a statement, she would come off as, you know, cold and uncaring. And he goes, but I've had a lot of conversations with her, and she really does care. So she gets up and says how much she loves the children, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she hopes that they get better. But she never takes responsibility for what she did. Never. So the judge points this out. You have never shown any remorse for what you've done. And you're a professional. You're a trained professional. You know how to deal with kids. And this is not the way. So they were accused of, some of the child abuse was, you know, carrying heavy boxes up and down stairs, sitting in a corner, like literally sitting with no chair in a corner for lengths of time. Doing outside work in 115-degree weather with no shoes, no socks, no sunscreen. And obviously the boy, they were handcuffing him, restraining him, because he had tried to run away on a previous occasion. So they felt validated to do that. So in the state of Utah, the most that these people can get, Ruby and Jody, is 30 years. 30 years will be the maximum. It's not up to the judge to decide how many years they're going to serve. In Utah, that is decided by the probation department. And one of the things the probation department's going to look for is, are you remorseful? If we put you back into society, are you going to repeat this action? And I'm not so sure Jody Hildebrandt wouldn't do what she's been doing. I don't think she thinks she did anything wrong. Whereas, you know, I felt that Ruby Franke did acknowledge that she had done something wrong, and that she was now on the straight and narrow. You know, her bishop has put her on the straight and narrow. You know, this is one of those things that people were doing something in the name of religion, and I just can't stand that. I really hate it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a hypocrisy. Don't just leave the religion in the church. Don't bring it home. Don't discipline your kids based on some ridiculous religion. I mean, come on. All right. Don't get me on my soapbox. So it is up to the probation department to determine the length of time that they will serve sentences. So the judge sentenced them both to anywhere from 1 to 15 years. So anywhere from 4 years on all 4 counts to run consecutively. So not concurrent. So it's not 1 to 30. It's not 1 to 60, because the most they can get is 30 years. So I get the sense that Jody Hildebrandt will get a lengthier sentence than Ruby Franke. Ruby Franke will probably get a 4-year sentence, and she'll probably get out early because she's already preparing her speech. She's already been in jail for a year. She's preparing her speech. She's, you know, thanking your academy speech, whereas Jody is not. So, and they both got the same sentence, anywhere from 1 to 15 on each count. So minimum of 4, maximum of 30. So I'm thinking, you know, Ruby Frankie's over on this end of the scale, and the Jody's way on the other side of the scale as far as sentences they're going to serve. Now, the question I have is, are they going to be serving this sentence in the same place? Like, that would not be a good thing. They need to be going to separate prisons, these women, and I hope that's the case, because these two, when they got together, did not come up with very good plans. No, not well thought out at all. No. Anyway, that is the update on Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. 1 to 15 years consecutively to serve in prison. Then, after that, then they have a probationary period of supervision. So, and, whether or not they ever have contact with those kids, who knows? Who knows? It's probably going to be up to those children whether they want contact with their mother. But right now, they are in foster care, and they are in counseling to get over the trauma that these two women put them through. So what do you think? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this sentencing. Meanwhile, I'm charging up the tricycle. I'm ready to go. I got my clothes on. I'm ready to go. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.